G'day guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Wildkard. Thank you for watching the Wildkard Rugby Show. This is a Super Rugby review. This is the Fijian Drua versus the Queensland Reds. Yes, Druas has beaten the Reds in the most beautiful rugby field in the world, right in front of the beach with the beautiful ocean visible in the background. Absolute game played in paradise. And yeah, this is a really crucial win for the Fijian Druas to stay in that top 8. This is one of the crucial matches they needed to win to stay in the hunt, to keep that 1 foot over the line to make into the playoffs. They have another home game coming up against the Rebels, which they should, fingers crossed, win, and that will secure them into the final. The game next week against the Highlanders, this will be a difficult game for them to win, as they are, they have a bit of a history right now to struggle playing away games, and Highlanders has really been on a bit of a peak going into the finals round. Their biggest opposition, the biggest challenger for the top 8 is the Crusaders. Crusaders got a few really tough weeks coming up. They got the Brumbies and the Blues. They have to win at least one of those games to try to get themselves into the top 8. And then they've got the Moana Pacific at home, which they should win to really, the stage is set for that final sprint. And if the Enduros don't win against the Rebels, then the Crusaders just have to win against Moana Pacifica and secure 2 bonus points to level the score 21-21 with the Druas, and the Crusaders will actually get into the top 8 by having a better point difference. So yeah, really crucial the win tonight against the Reds. Without it, they will be basically have to pray a win over the, what do you call it? Yeah, with the best have to pray on the point difference and pray on the bonus points against the Highlanders. And it's going to be very difficult. So this is the step 1, which is really good. I'm very pleased that the Druas has done, has managed to pull out this crucial win for themselves. Outside of that, I thought this was a pretty average performance from both teams. The conditions were pretty good, but there was a lot of silly penalties and silly errors for both teams. The performance from the referee wasn't that great either. Angus Garner, I would consider him one of the top 3 referees in the world right now. And was just mistakes everywhere, especially knock-ons. Number of knock-ons not being called correctly. There was line-out not straight, not called correctly as well. And this is a new law that's going to come in. I think he's already playing the new laws. If the line-out is thrown in not straight and it was uncontested, they're going to allow it to play on. And again, this just created a lot of confusion on the field. The fans were just booing. Why is the line-out not straight called? In one instant, and there was another incident when it's clearly not straight, and the referee just let it play it on. Just really poor laws that's coming through. But that law hasn't been implemented yet, so Angus Garner really shouldn't be allowing a line out that's not straight to play on just because he's uncontested. It's just really poor from World Rugby overall. Outside of that, there was 2 yellow cards against Suliasi Vunivalu, which converted into a red card against the Reds, which was really just disappointing. He gave out a yellow card basically right from the get-go for a trip just before the try line, which led into a penalty try. You thought that he would learn his lesson, came back on the field pretty much only for a few minutes before he attempted another. He was stepped again, and he stuck his foot out almost as a reactionary move, and he did make contact with Raul Talmanda and got himself sent off for a second yellow card, which turned into a red. Yeah, that's not going to get him to the Wallabies if he keeps doing that. That really needs to get out of his system. I mean, his defense has always been a bit of an issue with his ability to read the gameplay. And that reactionary trip, and also sometimes we've seen this before, the reactionary deliberate knock-on to when he's under pressure as well. Just stuff really needs to that's something that really needs to get out of his system if he wants to have a run with the Wallabies, especially going to the Lions tour next year. The game from both the strategy from both teams were a little bit of play. They both play a bit of a kicking game, especially with a little kick behind to try to pin the opposition inside their own 22. Little chip behind as well. And I really felt that Fijian Druas really shouldn't be kicking so much. They actually dominated the number of kicks over the Reds. I know the coach Mick Byrne has been appointed as the head coach for the Flying Fijian national team, and he's trying to transition the Druas into a more of a test style rugby. But I really think that the bread and butter, the big competitive advantage, using an economic term here, is the quick play, the tap and go, the offload game from the Druas, the speed is the key, and boarding hand is the king for the Endurance. And the style that Mick Byrne is bringing in is really throwing all of that out of the window. And you're supposed to bring that set piece dominance, that kicking accuracy in conjunction with the speed, the quick taps, the flying Fijian style. Instead of they kind of just completely got rid of the flying Fijian style and replaced it with a slow traditional style of rugby. And I just really don't agree with this. I mean, I talked about this last time in my last review as well. When's the last time you saw a quick tap from the Fijian Drua team? I don't think there was a single quick tap from this game. Maybe I'm wrong, but yeah, I can't remember the last time they actually did that. And also, when you get a penalty, they just kick the penalty. They just go for the penalty goal. I know they have a good kicker, but really, it's just not gonna. It's not the style that the Endurance play. And I'm really disappointed to see that trend continuing for the Endurance. The Reds was really, really soft in the beginning of the game. Just missing tackles, getting run over, essentially, like little boys. Lots of silly penalties. Execution wasn't accurate enough in the end of the game to really pull themselves through. And outside of that, the set piece was a bit of a mess for both teams. The line out really, really excruciatingly painful to watch for the Reds. It was just absolute amateur hour. The scrum was a bit of a 50-50 for the referee as well. The Fijian Drua was under penalty warnings for not packing the scrum correctly. That's probably the first time I've seen a team being warned for not packing the scrum correctly. I do think that the interpretation of the scrum from Angus Gardner wasn't consistent as well. There were a couple times at least, that the Reds were marching forward and then the scrum started to wheel, and the referee penalized the Reds for wheeling the scrum. And the normal interpretation for that for the referee is that if the scrum is going forward and then the wheel comes after, you can't just wheel the scrum from a stationary spot. If you do that, yes, that's boring in. But if the scrum had gone forward, or one team clearly had the dominance, the scrum begins to wheel. It's usually it is allowed by the referee, is usually as a result interpreted as a part of the scrum dominance, and the referee usually gives this penalty to the team that's moving forward. And yeah, really, I thought it was a poor decision from the referee. Again, inconsistency in the interpretation of the law. That's not the way it's been interpreted, adjudicated in rugby for a very, very long time now in that regard. But yeah, really interesting to see how that, again, I'm pretty sure this is probably a symptom from the Rugby World Cup in that England match against Springboks, where the boring in became a big discussion after that penalty. But I do, and that's, the Ben O'Keefe was 100% in line in that one. Scrum was moving forward, but there was accusations of boring in. But Angus Gardner here I think that it was inconsistent in his decision there. Anyway, let's look at the overall match stats. 4 tries to, I think it's 4 tries or 3 tries. I think it was 3. 3 tries to the Endurance. This is a glitch. When there's a penalty try being given, it counts as 2. 3 tries for the Endurance. And here's something that I've been talking about every week. The run meters Endurance, 331 to the Reds, 459. The Endurance last year was averaging 700 run meters, especially, with when they play at home, when the game where they won. Again, this is just, I think this is just completely not the right strategy from Mick Byrne. Let me know your thoughts. It's kind of disappointing, I think, for all the fans watching a little bit. Turnovers conceded 16 against Endurance, 15 against Reds. Pretty poor for both teams. 25 missed tackles out of 121 for the Endurance, 17 out of 93 for the Reds. Kicks in play, this is what I was talking about. 28 kicks for the Endurance, a team that's known to be a boring hand. To put out 28 kicks is really just mind-boggling to me. Mind-boggling. I know, again, mind-boggling to me. The Reds, 19 kicks overall. A couple missed from the Ravula, who's normally very, very high. There was one where it was very unfortunate. The ball fell off the tee. He missed that one, but outside of that, it was one difficult one. Conversion as well, but outside of that was okay. James O'Connor missed one for the Reds. Rabbit missed one from the Reds from the sideline. The lineouts was, like I said, the lineouts for the Reds was just painful to watch. 6 lineout lost out of 15. Wasn't that clinical for the Endurance as well. 3 out of 9. The scrums, like I said, I thought there was a one penalty given against the Reds for wheeling the scrum. I thought that was probably incorrect. Out of 7 penalties considered was pretty high for both teams. 12 against the Fiji, 11 against the Reds. 2 yellow cards, which turned into a red against Vunivalu. And yeah, that was that. Like, yeah, you can let me know about that as well. Please let me know what you think about the current strategy for the Fijian Druas. I'm personally not really in that big of, I don't think that, I think that, yeah, I personally not a big fan of the direction the coaches managing the team is heading towards. A lot of the good stuff, big improvements in the scrums, big improvement in set piece, and but I just don't think the kicking game, the over reliance on the kicking game, and the slowing the game down, not taking those quick tab is the way to go for the Endurers. So yeah, let's quickly recap the game. Vunivalu, again, 3 minutes into the game, there was a nice, again, missed tackles from the Reds everywhere. There was basically a try imminent right in front of the goal line. Vunivalu was stepped, and then he stuck his foot out, tripped. The referee issued a yellow card and a penalty try. 7 points to 0 to the Endurers. 8 minutes into the game, another penalty against the Reds. Few more faces. A little grab up behind by Armstrong was recovered by the Endura. Again, Incanaveri got the ball from like another face later. Just rammed over 2 defenders for the try. Man, it's huge run. 12 points to 0. 11 missed conversion. 11 minutes into the game, the Reds debutant gets his try on the board. So the Reds was building some pressure inside the Fijian 22, and there was a penalty advantage. And then the Reds spots the open space behind. Crossfield kick straight in the breadbasket onto Floyd Aubrey into the corner for the try. 12 points to 7. And right from the kickoff, 15 minutes onto the game, 30 minutes on the game clock, immediate penalty for holding on. Endurers kicked this one for the penalty, 15 points to 7. And then 23 minutes into the game, the Reds were building in a really what do you call it? The Reds were building, and then they got themselves a penalty, the breakdown from Fraser McRae, and they just kept on putting pressure on inside the Fijian half, just in front of 22. Crichton got the ball at first receiver, saw the rush defense, just a little dummy and go, and then the fullback came out. He stepped to fullback, try time, 14 points to 15. Just before halftime, there was a interesting incident. So the ball there was some interesting penalty that was given out. There was a lot of confusion. The ball came out of the ruck, and one of the Fijian players jumped onto the ball, dived onto the ball. The referee said it was penalty, even though the referee said ball is out. Fijian player dived on the ball. The law is that you cannot dive onto the ball within a meter as the ball is coming out of the ruck. Even though the ball is out, you can't dive onto the ball a meter away from the ruck. You also cannot dive onto the ball when the ball emerges out of the scrum. So that's just the law being played. There was a bit of a disagreement by the commentary, but I think this law is there for the safety and just so that the game is not just killed off immediately, because you have a pile of players on the ground. You don't want another pile of the players to be immediately formed right next to the ruck, and that's just a safety issue, and also it's just completely kills the game off. It's just they just don't want people to piling body piles in right next to each other. So that's just the law, and Fijian was penalized for that. We see this a lot. People not knowing this law. Anyway, just before halftime, there was a penalty 50 meters out. Kemi Valentini came on, kicked this one through, 18 points to 14 at halftime. Second half starts 46 minutes into the game. Raul Talmanda got the ball, just stepped through around the ruck. He just stepped through like 2 defenders, running down the sideline. And again, Vunivalu came out for the defense, and he was stepped again by Raul Talmanda, and then he stuck his foot out. Another yellow card sent off with a red, and this was scored as well. So the Raul Talmanda didn't. This wasn't a penalty try. He kept running, and then there was I think what happened. Yeah, he was pretty close to try line, and the ball was picked and go by Ikanaveri again. Went over for the try. 45 minutes into the game. This was his second try. Yeah, second try. Pick and go in under the post. 25 points to 14. And then the game kind of like, the game was turned a little bit sloppy after this one. Both teams weren't able to execute cleanly. The Reds had plenty of opportunity to score the try. They had a more around 71 minutes where they were, the Druas was under the pumps, was under penalty warning. They had a more 71 minutes. Could have gone in for the try. The new hooker was struggling a little bit. Decided to go the blind side, which was really close to the, which was really small space and was pushed out. And there was a clear knockdown, 73 minutes in the game inside the Reds 22. The Reds said knock backwards, just really interesting call there. 77 minutes into the game, the Reds finally got another penalty. They went for the Moore, and this time the Moore was a bit more patient, and instead of wheeling towards the sideline, he moved closer in field, and the new player, Blake, gets in for the try. 25 points to 19, missed conversion, and finally 79 minutes. The Druas had a penalty just before this as well. The ball fell off the tee, missed the penalty goal, and then a few minutes later, another penalty was given out, and this time Armstrong Barvula kicked it through. 28 points to 19, and that was the end of the game. Yeah, let me know your thoughts about this game, guys. Let me know your thoughts about the referee performance, and let me know your thoughts about the direction that the Druas is going with the coach of becoming less and less of Fijian style. So yeah, let me know your thoughts. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys later. Cheers.